Jono Lowe here from sportpanel.com. I'm going to give you a quick video about the NBA and its upcoming season, which starts tomorrow. I'm going to have a look through the model, especially in totals, and show you exactly what you need to do and how we've done in the past and how to maximize your profits going into the future. Ultra exciting. So let's just start. Now, before we start, you can buy these at Steve's site, dailyprofit.com.au, and Steve and I have done a lot of research over the past, attending matches, and so on. We do a lot of effort, a lot of really hardcore ground effort that not many other people do. For example, I'll just show you here. This is us in Phoenix. That's me on the right. There's an up-and-coming Phoenix superstar basketballer in the middle, meeting the cheerleaders, and there's Steve on the left. Steve, I don't know what he's wearing, Steve. He's got blue, yellow, brown, red shoes. It's typical Steve. Like, I don't know, maybe he's doing researches for his NF teams or something like that. But we do groundbreaking research. But this is all you need to know. This is how we've done in the past. This is from 2016 onwards. Profit's been fantastic. Never less than about 9%. That's based on Pinnacle odds, which is about $1.95 each side. You do notice that in the last year, 2020 and 21, the profits weren't as big, but the percentage return, as shown over here, was just as big as the previous ones. And that's just because the number of bets were down. And if you remember last year, COVID hit. And bookmakers weren't releasing their odds early, and part of the reasons for that is because, you know, some players, gun players would pull out because they've got COVID or went to a strip joint or something else like that. Happened quite regularly, just ask Harden. And so there were less bets early on, but everything should be back to normal now. The crowds are in, home ground advantage is there, and I'm looking forward to getting back to some normal NBA profits as well. We're going to have a quick look at how the model's gone in different circumstances. Here's the betting the overs. So if we bet over anywhere between 180 and 205 as the line, that's how we go. If we bet overs anywhere from 230 to 250, that's how we go. Pretty consistent all the way through. Really good at the middle numbers, betting the overs. Sort of the standard lines for standard teams has done really well. And if we look at betting the unders, it's kind of similar. It's pretty good all the way around, but if we're betting under a small total, it seems to go over. I'm not quite sure why that is, but yeah, something to look at. It's only a small sample size of 128. I wouldn't read too much into it. I think the models do pretty good, and we're going to look at the overlays. That should put a rest to some of that information there. The overlays, obviously, we only bet. I only have the data for a minimum 5% overlay, but this is really interesting because of two different things. One thing that strikes you straight out is anything under an overlay of 10% loses money, and that's unfortunate, but that's okay. I mean, no model is going to be exactly the true probability of that team winning. You just hope that that probability that the model spits out is going to be more accurate than the bookmaker's probability, and it doesn't make a profit there. Oh well. But like any good model should do, the higher the overlay, the greater the profits. And that's shown here. I mean, look at that, over 15%. We're making 25, 9, and 21, and that's great. If you weren't making money at these high overlay rates, then that means there's something in your model that it's missing. Okay, you don't know what it is. Maybe it's in-house knowledge. I'm not sure. But you see that a lot of horse racing, in fact, with the higher overlays losing money, and a lot of the modelers go, hang on, something's afoot here, something dodgy is going on. Maybe it's inside information, or maybe they don't have that data or information in their model, but we do, and I'm really happy with that. So when looking at the minimum overlay to bet, it seems pretty clear cut. From 10% onwards would be really, really good if you're betting like at a Kelly sort of stake. If you're betting just a straight out stake, you're betting $100 each bet, or you're betting $1,000, no matter what, then it may just be beneficial just to go from 15 and above. So after that, we're going to have a look at the overlays for unders, and exactly the same thing happens. Look at this. Big profits here. Nothing here at all, not much there at all. But still enough to tickle. Like, that's looking at about 2% between between 10 and 15. Once again, if you're betting sort of like a Kelly Factoria, I see no reason why to not have it at 10% minimum overlay. That's just a bet. If you're betting straight out, then it may be beneficial to bet at 15. Even though you still make profit here, it will definitely decrease the amount of variation that you'll have because you'll have less bets as well. So, yeah, 10% minimum for overs, unders. Perfect. Now we get into some of the nitty gritty, and this is match number. So it's if you've got two teams playing, it's the minimum number of matches that they've played that season. So keep in mind that teams play about 6 pre-season games, so which obviously don't count in this analysis. So here, at the top, you've got between 0 and 10. That's the first 4 games of most teams. Amazing profits, fantastic profits, best of 25%. And then as the season progresses down to the end, we see that the profits, the first 2 weeks are fantastic. The profits are still there. They're still raking in, and look at the ROIs. They're still very, very good. There's no reason to stop at all throughout the season, I don't think. It's and you can see down the bottom, in fact, here, my head's in the way of some of that information there, but you can see in the bottom here, obviously a lot less. That's season 1 here, and that's the post-season. A lot less bets in the postseason, there's less games, but still the same return of investment or thereabouts. So I think it's really important to get on early, but it's also important to just keep on going throughout the year. And I think last year, from memory, we had a poor first 2 or 3 weeks, and then we cleaned up, and hopefully some people didn't drop off in those first 2 weeks and think this model's crapola. It wasn't. It was great again. Now, we're going to get a quick analysis about total scores. This is the average total NBA score per season. As you can see, going back, the last century or so, last millennium even, it was, under 200, and then probably around about here, 2013, it just started to kick right up, and it's stayed about the same level the last 3 years. Obviously, the tactics changed that. A lot more three-pointers getting shown. Steph Curry showed the way how it's done. And we're getting higher scoring games. Now, this one here is also interesting. This is the exact same graph you had before in the blue, the regular season and the pre-season as well. And this is very interesting on 2 different circumstances. One, you can see that it really follows the pre-season trends, really follow the regular season trends. So much so, if you look here, this came down here pre-season. It also came down in the regular. It went up from there pre-season. It went up there in the regular. It's really, really good at estimating it. The other issue that you obviously can see is the pre-season score is always below the regular season average. And that's because pre-season, we know that they rest players, not everyone plays. I think LeBron James played only 2 of the first 6 games. Played 2 of the first 6 games. And also, they give extra time to newcomers, try different strategies and so on. So they're always going to be low scoring. I think the differential there is probably about 5 points or something. The third thing that's interesting is this last one here, this latest preseason, down at an average of 215.8, down from previously at 218. So down about 3 points on average. Does that mean the total scores are going to come down? Maybe. It's quite possible. But I wouldn't read too much into that. I think with all these interrupted COVID matches, I think the Stars are playing a little bit less. It wouldn't surprise me if it goes a little bit less, but I don't really expect it to go much less. I'm saying it'll probably stay about level. So hopefully that works out. Now, before I show you this, you might go, oh my goodness, what's going on there? There's more colours in Stephen Milando's outfit. This is just sort of an example of the average totals per match number here on the left throughout the season. As you can see at the top, it's pretty high. The average total is high, and then it goes lower and lower and lower. And we can see that on this next graph here. This is the average based on the minimum game average. So this is the start of the season on the left, sort of the end of the season at the end. It starts off really high. The teams score reasonably high, and then it sort of comes down and sort of levels out to around about, what's that, about 216, 17 points per game. So expect early games to be higher scoring. This is from 2016 onwards. Also going back here, my average expected, that's based on my model, once again starts high as well and decreases. And also here, but if you look at the difference here, it probably takes a little while to catch up from the actual totals, and I'm going to manually adjust that in the model. So so that it will be reasonably accurate towards this thing that happens at the start of the year where matches are higher scoring. I think they're higher scoring because there's probably less emphasis on defense. Maybe someone else can decide why they're very high scoring at the start of the year and tend to peter out. I think you see that in finals, especially in the seventh final. If the playoffs, if it goes to 7, it's a lot lower scoring by about 6 points, I think. And that is because of the extra defense and extra pressure they put on players. And I think perhaps at the start of the season, it doesn't quite have that pressure as it does throughout the rest of the year. So, however, that doesn't mean that the high scoring at the start means that it's going to go overs all the time. That's not true. Here is a graph of the percentage of bets going over the bookmaker line. As you can see here, well, it went up to 60%, but this is, it's only a slight increase as it goes throughout the year. No major trend. And here we had that same graph. And my expected, I remember I said before that I was down a little bit there on it, and you can see that here my expected is down from what it normally is for the first few weeks, and then sort of follows it pretty well. And you can also see the green line here I've added in. This is the bookmaker line. The bookmaker line in the first 3 or 4 months, 3 or 4 matches of teams is below the average, and then something happens. It goes down, it goes up, it goes everywhere. But this is where we really gain, I think. The bookmaker will set their line very haphazardly based on what's happened in the last week or so in total points. And, of course, ours is a slower moving but more historically based result, and I think that works really well. And as you can see in the second half of the season, it follows it quite well. The value is early on in the year. If that makes no sense to you, what I'm talking about, don't worry, just look at this. This is the results that we've done so far. And, it's been great. It's been good. So get on board, dailyprofit.com.au. When the site's up, it's a bit down, right? Steve, get on that. And jump on board, especially early on, as I said. I've also made I've got a player-based model. Here are some of the player ratings that I've got. You've got the Greek man at the top, Steph Curry, and then you've got a few Eastern Europeans. You've got Jokic, you've got Luka further down at number 8, lower than a lot of people rate him. But I've got reasons behind that. And I think his defense isn't quite up to standard as some of the others, but that's me. And then going through that. No Aussies there, I don't think. That's unfortunate, but can't have them all. Anyway, get on to dailyprofit.com.au, sign up, and join with us, and we're going to make it really big. If you've got any questions, please feel free to reply or ask away, and hopefully we'll have just as good a season as the last 5 years. Thanks, guys. See ya.